everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at a cool self-published book. This is called Inversion by Lily Du Fierro and Generoso Fierro. This is something that I think was either mailed to Sean or maybe handed to him at a convention. I'm not sure, but then he passed it on to me, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting book. I really like the art in it. You can see it's got this like colored pencil or maybe like colored ballpoint pen or some combination of the two look in the art, which I really like. And it's a strange little sci-fi story. I don't know that I understand 100% of it, but I get the vibe, and it's a really compelling, interesting one to me. So the story has one main character named Paul Vang, and he's a researcher at this strange company in the future. He's obviously on some fast. This is day 34 of his fast. He says dizzy but still managing, and you can see that really cool art style I'm talking about. You see some of his coworkers and like his tag. So he's a researcher, and he's saying they don't know me as Paul Vang. They know me as either 401, which is like the number of his cubicle or office, or PV, just his initials, Paul Vang. He seems to be a doctor, so a research doctor who's working at a company that deals with virtual reality of some sort. So he's got this patient that he's working with named Fong, and he's trying to do, I think, what I took from the story is some psychological interventions for her with VR stuff. But the mix-up of the VR and the reality makes things a little confusing in this book, and I think that's intentional. So here you have, I believe, Dr. Vang is putting on the VR, and you can see there's a switch over to like colored pencil art in the book, and then I think is interacting with Fong in the VR setting. As the book goes on, Fong is also being interviewed to take a trip to Europa. So I think part of what's going on in the therapy is they're trying to make sure this person is psychologically fit for this story. And they keep talking about like part of this is going to lead to an inversion, which is the title of the story, but I don't know quite what was meant by that, except maybe the suggestion that Dr. Vang actually switches places with Fong. But I'm not sure. I was unclear with that at the end of the book. I did like this page. I used to have the desire to stop time like past generations did, to capture wonders, and you can see that against all these cameras here. I strongly felt that synthetic experiences betrayed reality. So this is someone saying like that the virtual reality was something to be suspicious of, and that these synthetic captured moments betrayed reality in some way, that they wanted to be able to capture reality more fully, which I'm assuming is what led to then the VR. But there hasn't been anything of consequences here in decades, and virtualizations feel like realities I could have known. So I think there's something being said there in terms of like the reason these virtual worlds got built was because it seemed more experiential than the cold like freeze frame moments, the synthetic moments referencing reality, trying to get a completely synthetic or virtual reality. But then this character is finding out after spending time in there that these are even like less meaningful, that there's something wrong in there, that there hasn't been anything of consequence in these realities in decades. So I'm kind of getting like the thematic message of this as well, but I just don't get the relationship between the researcher and the patient, what exactly it is. But there are moments in the book where Dr. Vang will kind of like share his moments, it seems like, with his patient to try and ground her and get her to calm down too. So there are like some memory swapping moments. There is definitely some kind of psychological interaction between the doctor and the patient throughout the book with the virtual reality, but I'm not sure what it leads to. And then the ending of the book is like kind of vague in the way that I'm sure the authors intended it to be, where it seems like Dr. Vang has now showed up in Fong's reality. But I don't know if that's suggesting that he's in her virtual world, or if he brought her out of the virtual world into the real world, if the trip to Europa happened. I wasn't quite sure what the inversion meant, if it was just an inversion of like the ideas that were holding them back, or if it was an inversion of one personality, like a mind swap. So there were some things I was unclear about in this, but I think it circled around like the set of ideas that the authors wanted to address clearly enough, that even if I didn't get the specifics of it, I don't think I was missing the general thrust of their story, that there was these two people engaging in some kind of psychological interaction due to a virtual reality. And I think some of the like lessons that they were trying to show about a simulated reality versus a real reality and how meaningful that is, I think that's pretty safe to say about this book. So I still found a lot in this book that I enjoyed, even though I was confused. And I would definitely encourage you all to go check this work out and anything else that these collaborators have done. It's cool stuff, interesting stuff. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is a just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded, and you're focused on the emotional journey of two characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful, and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart.